Well, hi guys, welcome to the session. My name's Paul. This is Plan Z. It's a very sunny day in London. Hopefully, it's very well. You're very well wherever you are. Now, I found myself asking the question after I was getting ready. If you're following the channel, you'll know I'm doing a deep dive into the GT1000. It's taking a while because I'm kind of being quite thorough and doing things. And also, I have a spine injury, so I can't kind of work at the same rate as some of you. But I was working on my Tweeds. And I use a 2 notes cab M for a dynamic IR. And what we're going to do... Sorry, bear me a moment. Now, we're on a twin cabinet dynamic IR from 2 notes, where I've got a Ribbon 121 and a 57 mic. Sorry, I was slightly distracted by something there. Now, we're going to use the Tele and the Les Paul in this session. But I found, when I was experimenting, I thought, you know what? I wonder if this could do a Dumble amp. So I've experimented. We're going to talk about the whole of the chain in a moment, but just for a moment, let's just talk about the amps, and then I'm going to tell you what I've done to the EQ. I've got 2 EQ blocks here, 2 more there, and I've used a Deluxe combo when I'm on this. This is a low-gain Deluxe combo for a clean. We'll go through the settings in a moment, and then I've used a Tweed combo for an alternative clean. So this is like a gritty clean, and I'm trying to create an overdrive channel, so like a Dumble Super Overdrive, but I'm using a Deluxe as well, and I know he did like a Deluxe version, so it's like a hybrid I'm heading for. I'm using twin cabs on the Tweed is where I kind of got the inspiration for, and when I push a button, it goes to the high gain, but I'm keeping the gain quite low at 40 something. We'll hear all this in a moment. What I want to talk to you about is my strategy first. So I started out with the Tweed because I like how that breaks up in GT1000 through my twin cabs. And I thought, you know what? With a Dumble, it's famously a really nice big low end, full in the mids, and it's got nice highs and chime. So what I've done is I've pushed this amp, so I'm bringing out the bass of it. Now with this amp you can kind of do that. Its low end is quite nice. So I've gone 70 on the bass, 80 on the mids, 61 is that on the treble, and I've got the presence currently at 60, but we might let me just get into the right channel for the Les Paul. Let's bring up that neck pickup. So this is my clean Tweed. Got the gain on 37, sag all the way up, resonance on 5, level on 60 is that. Just going to go to my overdrive channel, pull back the gain pot a touch. Let's go to this presence. That presence on 70. I don't know if I've got it assigned. No, I haven't. Now, the thing to note here is what changes when I go to the high gain. Well, only a little bit of tops comes off. Hang on. Let's bring that back in. Do that. So in my SI, so I'm just coming in with fresh ears this morning, so I'm just going to bring those highs in a little bit. I dropped them back off, but in here in my SIs I'll have treble, and I've dropped that off to 56, but let's just drop that off with fresh ears. Let's just pull that back to 59 from 61. So at 61 my low gain is touch. Okay, so we're diving in. So that's the first adjustment I've just made to the patch. So continuing the talk through, just gone back to the full neck pickup, full tone pot on the neck. That's where I've ended up for the amp. I've just talked you through that. The thing to note here is when it goes to the high gain, the other change with the highs is the gain just comes up to about 43. And the level here will change, I think. Yeah, from 60 drops off to 50, 55. Yeah, the only other change, as I say, is those trebs come back a little bit. Now let's talk about the kind of big changes. Now for me, what I've tried to do is here I normally do a bit of a low cut. So I go +1 on the level. I'm taking out 315 Hertz on a notch Q of 8. And go -6 on that, and I do my low cut to 125 here because I want to be clear of my beat and my bass. Now ignore this divide for the moment. This divide, I'm going to talk about those in a minute, but this would then go into a second EQ where I'm using a graphic EQ where I go -1 on the level, first to a flat, I go +3 at 125 because that's where my cutoff is. I'm just giving it a bit of a bump there. The 250, I'm pushing that +6, look. I'm taking out the 500 by -6. And then I push the mids 1K to +5, 2K to +3, leaving 4K alone. +3, yeah, +3 on 8K. +2 on 16K, so I'm kind of boosting those highs before the amp, boosting the lows and the mids. We then pass through the amp and it goes into another EQ here where I've got quite an unusual setting, but I quite liked the impact it has, and it's a very subtle thing. What I've done is I've dropped the overall level off by 1, and all I'm doing is pushing 800 Hertz on a wide Q, so the widest Q 0.5, and I'm going +3 dB. That's the only thing happening in this EQ block. Now when you drop the level, you lose the highs and lows, so I bring the highs and lows back by going +3 on both here. So it's +3, +3, +3, sorry, +3, +3, -3, and then +3 on the 800, okay? Now what that is doing is, let's just turn off that EQ, this EQ, and before we discuss what happens, is I'm just going to tell you here, I drop 1 off the lows. Seems silly because I've just added loads, but it works for me. I leave the highs alone here and I bump the level by 1. I take out 6.3 kilohertz on a Q of 4 -6, but I bump the 8K on a wide Q by 1, and I'm doing my cut to 8K, which is why I'm doing that little bump there, okay? So let's just turn that off as well and hear the raw amp with only this first low cut in. Let's hear the drive. In itself is still quite a nice tone, so this is going to be a very flexible template for me. Like how that amp is being driven. Let's cut the highs. That also sounds nice. Let's go to the clean. This is full neck pickup, remember? Okay, so that's sounding nice. It's got lots of mids in it, which is nice. So let's now bump those mids. Where's that EQ? So this one, so let's hear the difference this makes. This should all be very subtle. I'll do it on the clean and then the drive. Right, so our volume has remained the same, but we're hitting differently. I'll do that again. headphones you should hear that difference. I'll do it on the high gain. Let's go. Oh, I'm an idiot. Wrong button. Do that again. It's having quite a change on the tone in a very positive way for me. Now, what we've done, let me just take that verb off for a second. So, we're back to just the verb on the low gain. Now, let's add this one where I've done the +3, +3, -3, +3 on the 800 Hertz. You should feel it get warmer, fuller, but the volume's the same. Let's see what happens on the, it's a very subtle difference. So this is the high gain. Now this 800 Hertz in the template, we'll be able to move that around, get slightly different flavors. So, but be careful. So let's go. Make more of the 1K, which is already being pushed. Let's go to 2K. This is full neck pickup at the moment. Let's roll back the gain pot. Let's pull that back to 800. Yeah, I like that. So that's what I'm doing with this patch at the moment, okay? So let's now talk about the rest of the patch for a little moment. This is just a sound check for the patch, and I want to show you what I'm up to and kind of document it. Now, at the end of the chain, I've got a wet-dry situation. So I've got my main outs, which go out directly to a 2 notes. And the reason I do it this way is, although I forego being able to put my high cuts after the cabinet, I don't really need it so much with 2 notes. The sound is already very good. And it allows me to run a wet dry here, but the reason I put it on the output itself rather than using like 2 send returns is it frees up send returns. So for example, this send return is sitting in a divide where I've got the output, you'll see here when we engage it, set so none of the volume comes out of here, because what I've done is I've put my send return in here, but I only send signal out, and when you do this it sends the dry path through. So I turn that down so I don't have the dry with my guitar, because I've already got my channel up here, and I can add synths. So let's, for example, add a synth. Let's add a different synth. Now I could put my synth on the input and just go through it because it's got a through, but I like being able to put things in front of my synth, so I choose to do it this way, and it gives me flexibility, if that makes sense. I could stick a fuzz there, for example, and really go crazy with some of the sounds. Let's try something else. Okay, so it allows me to put colour in additionally to my amp. Now, the other divide here, let's just turn that synth off. Let's come back to that divide down here. So this divide, nothing changes here. Everything is just left as it is at factory. But I send it into an Octaver. So we have a separate channel for the Octaver where I've got the range up at 100. I'm using the poly, got it at 50, direct mix low at 0. And then I send that into a limiting compressor. I'm using the X comp down at 12 on the sustain, 100 on the attack, 52 is that on the level. Got the tone up a little bit, but I've got it set to infinite, which is a limiter, all the direct mix taken out. So let's with and without it. And it should remain nice, smooth and consistent because of that limiter. Let's add the synth to that. Crazy. Nice. Let's go down to... And it's fairly stable there, like playing chords, no warbling about, or maybe a little bit. So yeah, that's nice in there for my mix. So the other things I've got in here is I've put a compressor in. We're using, oh, I didn't talk about the second amp yet, the Deluxe. We've not talked about the Deluxe. We'll come back to the compressor in just a tick. So here's my clean through the Tweed. And then here I've got a Deluxe set up. Now this amp doesn't change its settings, it just remains as it is as an alternative clean. The fuzz sounds brilliant on this. Yeah, I've got the gain at 53, the sag at 5, the resonance in the middle, there's a lot of low end already in this amp. We've got the level at 50. Now the bass is at 20. Normally I have the mids around 70, but here I've pulled them back a bit because I'm pushing a lot and there's a fair bit. I just kind of wanted that for the tone, or a starting point anyway. Plus to 70 on the trebs, and the presence at 70 also. And that's nice. What we're going to do is let's just going to pick up the telly. Hopefully it's in tune. The weather's changing at the moment, so it might jump around a little bit. But let's just change the channel now. I use a Gig Rig 321 to get my signal into GT1000, so I can just use the same patch. So here comes the telly. Now that is the nicest clean tone I think I've had out of this GT1000. So I think I'm going to be trying to implement some of these ideas on other patches, but using different frequencies with my dynamic IR patches, and I'm going to try converting this patch. As you know, I'll do a second video for this video. There'll be a part 2 where I convert the patch into GT1000 cabs. And already in the wets here I've got set up the twin cabinet, so we're going through the 212-3 here, but I'm using a blend B for the wets in the center of the cone on a short. Now let's go between these two amps now. So 1, 2, and then well, let's stick our compressor on first. Let's go compressor. Now I took you through the settings of the one on the bass, but I don't remember doing this one. So yeah, sustain at 37, attack at 80, level at 50, plus 3 on the tone, going at 3:1 ratio, and I've got 30 of the direct mix coming through. So this is a neck pickup on my Deluxe, going through the twin cabinet 212s. This, although it sounds louder, is just wirier. It's actually the same volume, so let's just pull the volume back a touch on the guitar. Really pokey in the mids, that. Nice. Let's just try the middle pickup position. Oh yeah. That's so pretty. Uni Fender Player, Tele from 2020. Let's go to our overdrive channel. Okay, let's go back pickup. Pulling back the gain pot a touch. Bringing it back up a bit. Okay, let's go to the low gain again. Bring our gain pot up and talk about the drives I put in here. So I've got a tube screamer. Well, I've got the drive at 40, the level at +4. We're going to hear all this on the Les Paul in a minute. We've got the level at 60, is that? Left the bottom alone. And I've got what's it called? The direct mix coming through at 1. Let's turn off the compressor. Let's turn off the tube screamer. So, back pickup. Let's try that on the Deluxe amp. That's lovely. Let's go to the overdrive channel. So without, with. So the other thing we've got in here is a fuzz. Now when I kick the fuzz on, we have a noise suppression come on with it where I've got the release at about 15, the threshold at 30, and we're on noise suppression input. The one down at the front is down on input. Now I'm only driving again at 40, got +20 on the tone, the level at 100. Now I want to talk to you about the differences between the Deluxe and the Tweed here. So pay attention to this level and this here, where on the Tweed I'm running, on most of my amps I'm running at +14 for this particular fuzz, and I'm coming in with a direct mix of 1. Let's with and without it. The important thing here is when I go to the Deluxe, I bring the bass, so the bottom, from 14 down to +4. So we take out 10. And here the level comes back from 100 to 75. Yep. So that comes back 25%. Let's Go between the two. Now, Boss would never suggest you change amps like this. You should put it in a divide, but as you can see, I'm busy with my divides down here. So just never change amps when you're doing this while you're strumming a chord. So I'm going to go. Now it sounds louder, but it's just the mids are being pushed. The volume is the same. That's really going to cut through a mix. That sounds nice. So let's now try the high gain. Pull that drive pot back. Okay, so the last thing to talk about in here, you'll be like, Jesus Christ, Paul, get on with it, it's a long video, is the Uni Vibe. I've got that down at the front of the chain. Let's go to the Deluxe. Let's turn it on. Now, I found in the real world, Uni Vibe works really well at the front of your chain, and it turns out it's the same with this. I find I get a better response when I stick it at the front of the chain. So, here we go. Now I've got the rate really slow, 23, got the depth up high, cranked, and the level is cranked. Let's go to the neck. Let's put on our compressor, which is here, remember? After the EQs, I try to compress the frequencies I want, not compress before the frequencies. If you compress your signal before you EQ it, so stick this at the front of your chain, yeah, it's great. It boosts all your levels, but it boosts everything you don't want as well. So what I like to try and do is tailor what I give the compressor. Are you with me? It's like making sure the ingredients the mixer receives are the right ingredients, the ingredients I want for my amplifier to receive. Does that make sense? Or my drives, you'll find your drives will sound better this way. If you're liking the sound of my drives and not yours, try these kind of approaches. So let's go to the Tweed. Just pulling back the tone pot a little bit. High gain. Oh, wrong button. Just going to get the Les Paul on that. So it's not really a fair shootout because the Les Paul is a 1991, so it's older, but that's not the thing. It's a Les Paul Studio, USA made, whereas the Fender Tele is a Mexican made Tele that's, you know, probably about half the value of this. Although, truth be known, this is probably the same value as a new one of those now. They didn't age well. But let's come in, let's pull back that. Oh no, where are we? We're in the low gain. You saw it. Nice. Full neck pickup. Excuse my sloppy playing. It's the morning and my nerves from my spine injury are still giving me problems. Go to both pickups, where commonly I have the tone on my bridge pickup on about 8.5 to balance out the pickups, but I also have the volume pot there as well. That sounds lovely. Let's try the Deluxe. let's go to the overdrive channel. I'm just going to pull the bridge pickup. We're still on both pickups, but I'm going to pull the bridge back to about halfway. So about 5 on the gain pot. To about 9, half 8. I thought I'd overcooked pulling it back. Let's go back to the low gain. I'm going to turn off those effects. What we're going to do, I can't remember if I made any changes there. I'm just going to pull out. What we're going to do now is have a little look at where those